Good morning, real estate fans, and welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm Alice Lema here with my co-host, Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon. Well, Pete, we had another lively week in housing here in Southern Oregon. Why don't you bring us up to speed on what happened in your world?
Well, it's nice to see as usual, what May 1st is today. We always talk about one of the things by doing this show for so many years was March, April, and May were traditionally the three busiest real estate months of the year. And certainly March and April were pretty busy in all three of our counties, Klamath, Jackson, Josephine. I mean, listings came on, they went off as fast as they were coming on. It's making really an interesting market. So really, Alice, today, what we really want to share with our viewers and listeners is how do you get ready for this? Because, inventory is not rising the way, we're not getting more and more, hundreds more at all. So it's still that shrinking area. So how do buyers prepare to do this? And as you always say, how do sellers prepare to do this in a market like this? Because we've never seen anything quite like this in our real estate life, right? I haven't.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Watching the price change from this time last year, it was very unusual to have such a big spike. And it's starting to bleed out into some of the less popular areas. And that's not a derogatory thing. That's just speaking purely numbers. And if you want a really nice rural property right now, you need, and you want it to be under 400,000, you need to go outside of Winston, outside of Roseburg, Oakdale, and you get some absolutely beautiful small acreage, single story, stellar move-in ready with a shop. But if you want to have that same property in Jackson or Josephine County, you're going to be somewhere between 400 and 550.
Or even higher.
Even higher.
No, it's a unique market. That's what we're going to try to kind of mark out today, because what I've done things. I don't know if you have yet, but I've done things that I've never done on offers for buyers.
To help them win the bid?
To help them win the bid, because it seems like every time I'm at least making offers, I'm up against multiple offers, and just did one this week with 6. It's how do you prepare for that, and how do you get the buyers ready? And some of the things that sellers are doing too, all make for the market dynamics. Then you've got lenders involved and all sorts of other things. And so and we do it every day, and that's what we're going to share with folks today.
This is our Market Watch version. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors. We're brought to you by John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon, Ashland Medford, the Rogue Valley Association Realtors, and Guy Giles of Mutual of Omaha Mortgage. Do not touch that dial. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema will be right back. Well, welcome back to the Real Estate Show, folks. I'm Alice Lema here with Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon, having our Market Watch episode, one of our favorite times of the month. We get to talk to each other, talk about the crazy things that happened and some of our success stories, which is really nice, I think, to share with our listening audience. And Pete, today is May 1st, and I wanted to make sure I reminded all of our listening audience, it's Code Enforcement Day for your weeds. Today is the day you can get a ticket if your weeds are not mowed. And that includes your lawn. It's not just weeds.
Yeah. And people say, well, code enforcement, and they sometimes push that off. And this year, with the dryness that we have, I would really recommend anybody who has a field, don't put that off, or you might get fined. And that's really important to Alice, that people do that, because grass fires can turn into major problems. And so I got to burn this year for the first time out at my farm. Burn the ditches that go down around my property.
Very satisfying.
Burned years, and it was just really a lot of fun to do that. And then you see everybody else burning too. So but it also makes your property look so much better. And especially if you're going to in the area of selling it, it just ups your value, because it's cleaned up and people can see that you've taken care of your property. And that's such a big thing in real estate today. When you walk into a property with a seller, with a buyer, is that you can really tell whether the owner has kept that property in great condition. You can see it almost immediately on most cases.
Well, and it makes the buyers nervous if you don't. They start wondering what else they should be thinking about. But going back to the fire thing real quick, that is so important right now. And the code enforcement people are our best friends. They're there for our safety. They're there to help us. So if somebody stops by, well, and they are associated with the police department. So if a cop drives up and they get out and they're code enforcement, first, don't panic, but know that they're there to help you and you need to take care of something and you need to take care of it right away, especially if it's fire oriented.
And this year, probably more than maybe any in our lifetime, we're all going to have to, we're all in this together. We're all going to have to work together to reduce that fire danger because, you know, here we are on May the 1st and look how dry, look at the conditions that we're in with no irrigation water, no extra water around. So
Right.
it's really important. I know we talk about that a lot, but I think this year more than any other, because of the situation with, you know, Immigrant Lake being so low and no water available, that even along ditches that come into your places, etc. We need to take care of that this year more than ever, and I hope people do that everywhere in all three of our counties.
And you know, it wouldn't hurt to have some extra water storage if you're in the rural district for a lot of reasons. You can get those above ground plastic containers. You see them out and about sometime. And I just think this year is severe enough. It wouldn't hurt to be a little proactive. And we've got people like Marie's Water who will come out and fill it up for you, and you can just have it standing by. And then also, what about insurance? If you've done all that defensible space, like on your ditch, did you call your local fire service or did you call your insurance company and see if they'll give you points for that?
No, no. We did call the fire area, you know, their non-emergency number to say that we were going to burn in case they saw smoke, you know, coming up and wondered what that was. But that, I
Oh,
think
okay.
that's really a good courtesy to do, especially
That
today.
is.
But heck, they stopped burning, you know, permits. We got some rain earlier in the week, last weekend, but beyond that, it's back warm again, and so the dryness will continue there. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just
Mm-hmm.
all in this together, no matter, you know, where you are, and hopefully we're going to be able to get through this. What's going to be a dry year. Look, it's May 1st already, and look how dry we are, Alice.
Yeah, it's scary. And we've already had a few fires here and there. And you know, when I lived in the rural district, and if you are in an unincorporated area, you can call your local fire service on a non-emergency day and have them come out and preview your property and see if there's anything else they suggest that you do. And I highly recommend that this season in particular, so that they know you're ready. And if there's anything else you can do, that you can take care of it before things get really involved later this summer. Well, moving on to the housing market, because we can talk about fire all day, huh?
Well, look how much it's become a part of our life.
Yeah.
More so, you know, we always thought it's happening someplace else, but look how it affects our economy with smoke, and look how it affects so many people in their lives, and on and on. You know, one of the things going on in that, if you do own land that's treed, is a number of trees that have been killed because of the drought. And so a lot of landowners are, you know, cutting them down, using them as firewood, stacking up, whatever, because they want to reduce the fire danger on their property. So a lot of times, many of those trees, Alice, die, and they're because of the drought, and that's happening to us all over as well. The drum.
Oh, yeah, all at the same time.
It's so there's that's out there as well. So there's a lot to do, you know, on rural properties, as you know, and so this is going to be just a real tough year for us, and I hope that we're all ready for it and be prepared for it.
And you know, one of the things we didn't mention in the last few months is when you have your home or your outbuildings involved, even in a smoke fire, you know, where you don't have fire very close to you, but you have smoke. Remember from the Paradise fires, we had Scott Moore of Scott Moore Construction on talking about how it will actually weaken your siding and it can damage some of the other parts of the house, the roof, the gutters, that sort of thing. So that's something else to maybe have somebody look at here while it's May before the summer gets too far along.
Yeah, yeah, very true. You talked about kind of the market, kind of what in the world's going on. I'll just tell you, we've been in this, you know, low cycle of the same number of listings on Jackson County, a huge county, you know, with thousands of homes. There's only 233 frame-built homes available on the market. 233. And of that 233, Alice, 132 of them are priced at 500,000 and above. 53 of them are priced in the luxury category here. That leaves only 91 properties priced in Jackson County under $500,000. 91. Put that in perspective. The East Medford area would generally have 200 to 250 available homes at any one time. It has like 34. So you see what that's done to the market. Nationally, it's happening in a lot of communities because of housing shortages. And so what's happening there? Prices are going up. Over 10% in 2021 already.
Yeah. And again, this was not predicted last year because these are two what we consider artificial spikes, but they've got legs. I'm not sure they're going to go down to where they were before, but I really believe we are having a transition moment right this second. The new properties that are coming on the market, if they're priced too high, then the buyers are really not either going out and seeing them, or they're going and seeing them and not writing offers. And the other thing pushing back from the buyers is, boy, if it's not letter perfect, new paint, nice floors, nice counters, it doesn't seem to matter if it's older, but it needs to be move-in ready. And it's really shocking. People walk through and go, you know what? I'll just wait. I'll wait 2 more months to see if I can find something that's nicer in my price range. So that's not the kind of buyer behavior we had 6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for, say, a luxury home, 900,000 and
Oh yeah,
higher,
let's talk about that.
you got great choice. I mean, 53 of those properties just in Jackson County, and Josephine County has a pretty good number too. Even Klamath does. Those sell once in a while out of this, Alice. But what are buyers? I mean, you show in that category more than I do. What do you think they want it to be perfect, no flaws, I would assume. And are they financing these things, paying big cashes? Or tell me how a luxury home is being purchased today.
Well, a lot of them are on rural property.
Right.
They want land, they want fully fenced, they want that compound kind of situation. And a lot of them want to pay cash, but then they want a huge discount. And boy, they do want letter perfect. If you're listing a house at $1 million or $1.5 million or more than that, you cannot have a scuff on the front door that's even slightly different shade of dirt. It's like you just cannot have anything wrong with your house. They're going to look it over with a fine-tooth comb. They also expect to have due diligence, and that means a lot of these people are coming from big cities out of the area. They think they're going to get a well report before they write an offer. They think they're going to get a home inspection before they write an offer. And I just see a lot of times, talking to somebody from New York or from Orange County or from Dallas, and it's like, well, I don't want to spend, well, I guess on a property that size, it's going to be like $2,500 for the buyer.
I was going to say that the buyer then has to come up with this money. I cannot believe that if you're going to put in agents, or whatever, you talk to people, why you wouldn't have that done and present to a seller. Because you're right, the seller has then got to fork out, money to do this. And you should have already done that as a seller, because then you're in control of the sale more than the buyer is. Because
well, plus, what if something's wrong and you don't know it? Like every once in a while, don't we find out during our pre-listing due diligence something actually was wrong and they didn't know it?
No, my favorite line is, there's nothing wrong with the house. It's perfect. I'm taking care of it. Until you get the inspection, you come back and say it's all of a sudden blah blah 1 2, all these things you need to work. Certainly, getting ready for it, you have to have everything has to be working in the property, and that includes electrical. I see lots of electrical issues, that were done. Some jerry rigs, some others. These kinds of things create health and safety issues, and on it goes. So you really, but again, if you're in the luxury home in that area, I just can't believe someone wouldn't do that before they put it on the market. How's your well? Do I got to go out and
That's
pay?
the first question everybody asks.
Yeah, how old's your septic system? Where's it located? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Generally, those homes also have, outbuildings and maybe additional dwelling units on them, et cetera, et cetera. So there's just a lot more to them, and it takes a lot more due diligence. But the seller should definitely, in my opinion, and not only in luxury markets, Alice, believe me, I think as my sister did this, and here with a home, she took my advice. Can you believe that?
Yay.
And let's get a pre-inspection so we know. And we did, and we did all these things for it. So we're going to present it to our would-be buyers that we've done all this. We've had the pre-home inspection, and look how nice this place is. Everything's working. We're hoping to get the price that we asked for, right?
Mm-hmm.
On those things, and you can walk in and you can move in ready to go, even though in that kind of thing. So I just really, and you started me on this thing years ago now, and I'm totally a disciple of that, of having those pre-inspections, including the well, including the septic, because help yourself as the seller, help yourself get the price you want by having this information for would-be buyers. Smart if you do it, just takes longer, more problems if you don't.
Well, and if you are selling a rural property with irrigation water and you are an active farm, some of those crop buyers, especially if you're cannabis or hemp, they might want that special water test of the irrigation water. Some of them care so much. So you might want to do 2 well tests, one on the domestic well for your drinking water and one on what the plants are going to drink. But don't touch that dial. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema, we're going to be right back talking more about local Southern Oregon real estate, our local market watch. Well, welcome back, Southern Oregon, to the Real Estate Show. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema. We're your hosts today. We're both brokers at John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon. And we're talking about some of the interesting twists and turns of our local housing market. And one of the problems we're having with the prices is, yes, the prices went up, right, Pete? They went up a lot. You said more than 10% in some cases. But
yes. Okay.
Nationally, yeah. But that does not mean that you can list your property for just anything and expect to still get showings. And I think we're having a lot of trouble with that. The last batch of properties that came on the market, so many of them were just priced way, way out of range.
Well, again, the reason for that, you got to caution with the prices, is look, you're going to have an appraisal if you've got a loan coming.
Right.
If the buyer is going to put down hundreds of thousands of dollars as a down payment, and the loan is, very, very low, they may not even have an appraisal on the property because the lender knows they've already got a lot of equity in it. So, I've seen that happen. However, on the other side, appraisers look back, they don't look forward. And we've learned that on our show from talking to them, Alice, that they're going to go back and look at the last 6 months, taking into account what's been going on. So if you're way over here on a price and the rest of the sales are way down here, it may come in low. And so, you don't want to do that, because that just causes lots of problems. We're trying
to God forbid you get an offer, and then who's going to make up the difference? And we've had situations where people came in $25,000 and $30,000 under, and that's a real gnashing of teeth, wringing of hands moment, because now the deal's not going to go through. Who's going to have that much cash sitting around? And even if they do, what buyer wants to make up that kind of a difference? Then they're overpaying.
Okay, so you tell me again. So you had a $20,000. The appraisal was $20,000 under.
I've had since the shutdown, I've had more than one, more than one.
Under the agreed upon price, you were $20,000 under. So in that situation, you're right. Either you've got 3 choices. Either the seller's going to got to give it up, the buyer's got to give it up, or come up with more money, or they split it somehow in between, or buyer can walk away because that's part of the contingencies on a sale. But geez, that's a lot, Alice. So that's the problem. Is you're right. Sellers are thinking, geez, I can get extra dollars here, way, way out of line. That's where your real estate broker really needs to bring you back down to earth of what is the realistic part of the market. But crazier things have happened. People are wanting these properties. The backlog of the buyers pool is so great and people are wanting them so badly because they've been looking and searching for, in some cases, months and months now.
Mm-hmm.
When they want it so badly, they're willing to, do almost anything they can to get the property. I've never seen buyers so wanting
Hungry.
to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're a seller and you want to put your price up high just to test the market, a lot of agents are fine with that if you want to do it for a little while, because quite frankly, we're not Nostradamus. We can give you a pretty fair projection. But if you're going to do that, you just want to have a strategy for the what if, so that you're not missing out on your move, that you're not having to start all over again, or having to get way less money in your pocket as a seller than you were expecting. So, I think a lot of us will experiment with the higher prices, but we have a real serious conversation with the sellers. So we have a couple of strategies just in case that happens. And then if the appraisal comes in high, well, yippee-yi-yay, because that happens too.
Oh, I had in a rural property, we had a $20,000 over our asking price, and that just doesn't happen very often, and I was really reluctant, thinking that maybe people are just trying to lock it up, then get an appraisal down low and then bring the price back down. But I'll be darned, the appraisal came into that, so.
So see, yeah.
Both ways.
Then we look like liars.
And so, but that's just part of the real estate. Nothing is guaranteed in real estate. Remember this, until it closes. Anything can change it. I mean, anything can come up. You get a preliminary. I had an instant where we had a preliminary title report come back with a different name on the as a seller. They had changed the name without saying anything. Things like that, and just so again, it can throw the deal, sideways, and all of a sudden, in our case, we had to have a second appraisal on the same property. In order to meet this.
Yeah,
and so,
to double check.
Just seeing things, feeling things I've never in the world done in real estate before. And one of them, again, let's go back to, you're in the range and you're up against multiple offers, and that. I know many times I tell my buyer, I've told my buyers over the years, I don't want to we shouldn't do this. Let's walk away because, I don't like, there's something else out there better. That's not the case anymore. Right now, it's okay. We're staying and fighting, and we're going to be aggressive now, and we're going to go get this property. What do we have to do to get it? Many times you call the other agent, or if you happen to see the seller there, you ask them, do they need anything, kind of thing. But what I found out, again, the sellers want, this is what sellers want, Alice. They want an easy close, all right? They don't want any problems, right? They want to take an offer in multiple. They want, what's the easiest that this offer is giving me? What's the least I have to do to get this closed the fastest? Okay. Are you okay? Do you see that at all in any of your thing?
I do, but so many of my clients are also trying to buy something else. And so for them on the listing side, we set it up so that we can try to pick a buyer that's not in a hot damn hurry. So if you have multiple offers, I think that's one of the benefits of buyers that are renting, or buyers that have arranged to have a equity line of credit or a bridge loan or something, so that they don't have to sell their other address.
Well, that's true. And so how do we get those sellers to say yes to us in that multiple offer situation? And
yeah, I think that is one way, is by saying, I don't have to sell my house right now.
That's a huge one.
Or my house is already in escrow. See, those are my favorite to write, is we're in escrow. We've already done everything because we did our due diligence up front and our buyer is happy with it. We're ready to write offers, day 5 into the escrow, something like that.
I've done things now. We're not even going to do any inspections. We'll take it as is. We can do with them later, and making it as easy as you can for the seller. I hear now, in terms of what the other agents are saying, that's what sellers are looking for. What can be the easiest, especially if you have multiple offers? How do you choose?
Yeah, you can also, I think, offer to pay the first part of a shortfall. So if you're a buyer, you can say, well, we all think this could be overpriced. Me as the buyer will pay the first $5,000 of a shortfall.
Oh, well, you're
So I will
generous.
overpay. You put that in your contract. I will promise to overpay up to the first $5,000. Not our favorite
Well,
thing to do, but it
I was
works
going to say,
sometimes.
the point being is that it's such a competitive market that we find ourselves in. And I think that the biggest, and I'm talking about all the price categories now, which is really surprising to me. Remember when we were saying, I don't know, a year and a half, remember the new 350,000, remember 250 to 350 that was when most of the sales were taking place for such a long time. Remember that?
Well, and that's income appropriate to our area.
And then all of a sudden, remember, Alf, all of a sudden 350 became 350 to 450, and
Yeah.
300,000 all of a sudden became the hottest part of our market. Remember that?
Well,
And we,
and then it got support from FHA because they came in, wasn't it like in the middle of the shutdown and said, we're going to raise our FHA limits to 359. And so
I
now
will,
all of a sudden it gave credence to that higher price point.
well, it did that, but it also allowed, interest rates in the meantime had dropped into the twos. And
Yeah.
so that combination, all of a sudden, the 350 became the new five.
Yeah. Let's talk about
Now,
that for a second because you know the thing about the low interest rates, I have these multi-generational families and they're worried about buying a big property, but I ran the numbers and if you're getting like a 2.9% interest rate,
oh,
you can have a 480,000 to $500,000 mortgage, give or take, for about $3,000 a month, including taxes. So all of a sudden, like they can sell all three of their houses, all three family members, they can split the $1,000 a month mortgage payment and they can buy $1 million property. You just got
uh-huh.
to do the math. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
this
no.
just happened right before we went on the air. We were
Okay.
running these numbers and went, you guys, you can actually buy a $1.1 million property. And here's how. And we'll sell your $500,000 house.
Yeah, one of the biggest things you just mentioned are family compound properties. If they have any kind of an ability to put that on, add a unit to it, whatever, boy, that's really popular, and that's been that way. But our point is that look how, because of the low interest rates, people have been able to move up into the market. So that's why we're seeing multiple offers. I had a property here in my area. We put up an offer in on it. The list price was $569,000. Alice, we had 6 offers in 2 days.
Wow.
We were up against 5 other offers in this particular property. So, that's what I'm talking about. Why you got to be ready and prepared, because we're seeing more and more competition in the 500,000 range, maybe than we've ever imagined. So again, there's only 91 properties in Jackson County available under $500,000. So you can see where that market has kind of moved up into. And if you get above 500,000, there's more choice. So
Oh my gosh, there's so much more
not much
choice.
more choice up there than there is below that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's really, I know it's difficult, and a lot of people get discouraged, Alice, because they can't find anything. And I always tell them, it takes this real estate world that we march in. There's no guarantees, no certainties to it, and you have to keep at it in order to be successful. It just doesn't, because you want to start looking today, you're going to find something tomorrow, make an offer. That just doesn't happen. You have to be prepared for it, or you're just going to flounder, and then you're not going to want, you're really going to be upset. So that's what, to my opinion, that's really the biggest thing people have to do, is be prepared for this, because it's not easy. This is not easy, but it's also a lot of fun when you do it, if you have the right attitude to do it.
Well, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity where you can sell what was your $300,000 house, which is now 450 or 5, and that's just like plunk, there's a universe giving you gold, sell that and you can move up into this amazing house, really big or more land or whatever. And your payment is the same.
Yeah. And I tell a lot of sellers, when they have a lot of equity in their home, maybe don't owe anything on it. It's like, wow, you're going to come out really, really well on this property. You've done well. But that's what we tell people. That's why we own property, Alice, is to create wealth for our families and create wealth for ourselves. It's a perfect opportunity right now. We're seeing that in so many people who are selling, who have great equity in their properties. They're making a lot of money. It's great to see.
Mm-hmm. And we're not sure how long it'll last. We don't expect a crash, right? There's not gonna be a crash, but we don't know how long this like higher wave crescendo thing is going to last, because as more properties come on the market, the prices go down.
Yep. So it's a supply and demand market.
Supply and demand.
Right now, above 500,000, you've got a pretty good supply, more or less. Still not very many. If you're looking below 500,000, you got to look really hard, because the inventory is way, way, way low in those price ranges.
And we've got a break coming up. Pete Belcastro, Alice Lema at the Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, real estate fans. Alice Lema, Pete Belcastro. We're both brokers here at John L. Scott in Southern Oregon. Welcome you back to the Real Estate Show. We were just having a lively conversation about pricing strategies and buyer strategies. And, you know, one of the interesting things in those larger compound situations, Pete, is we have people that are joining their multiple generational family members. They're selling 2 and 3 properties, sometimes 4, coming together. But, you know, sometimes they're not buying that big compound. They're actually just buying 2, 3, or 4 houses all in the same neighborhood. That was an eye opener this week. That was something new that happened.
Okay, well, that makes total sense. We don't have a lot of compound type, properties, I think, in our region that you would think of a family compound to be. So that makes sense. I've also seen a lot of people will buy, one of the trends going on right now is buying vacant land and kind of building your own, because some areas, not Jackson County, but in other areas, vacant land is pretty abundant and not that expensive. And so people now can decide they can build their own, although the price of lumber, the prices are going up. And that's something to think about, because a lot of people are thinking about doing that, tiny homes, whatever. The prices of materials have really gone up. And I believe it. I watched the trains go by my farm, the Burlington Northern and the Union Pacific, and you would not believe the amount of lumber that is heading south and east from here. It's just phenomenal, the number of going on. But the prices have gone up, and so anything being buildable right now, you're going to see a price increase unless it's written into your contract. But be aware of that. It's really, I bought 2x4s, Alice, at $10 a piece. That are normally like you get them for 97 cents.
Wow.
That's how much lumber has increased. So and that puts down projects, new homes, etc. The price is really gone up. So, everything's affected by this. And that's why, I don't know where it's going, but it's quite there. Anyway, I want to just give you some more stats. What do you think the 3 counties, what's the hottest market of the 3?
You mean the most active?
Yeah, the one that's, the quickest days in the market, quickest turnarounds, etc.
I would say is either West Medford or East Medford.
Well, I would say it's Josephine County.
Josephine County. Okay. Look, not even close.
Not even. The average 39 market. That is number 1. Klamath's number 2, and Jackson's number 3. People are recognizing the disparity in price
and taxes
areas and taxes, etc. And Jackson County last week, the average price was $429,000, which is down actually a little bit. And more days in the market. So there was, everything was down. Everything was down. It was really kind of a weird week. But when I say down, that's only like, still there were 50, 100, lots of pending sales, lots of closed sales, but not enough. Remember, we're down 62% from a year ago in the total number of listings in our area. That's just from last year to this year, down 62%. That has not changed for now months. And Alice, I don't know when the stats come out for, I guess February, March, and April in the next week or so. I really don't think they're going to go up. The biggest unknown I think we have in our market right now is the irrigation water, no water, Immigrant Lake, Klamath Lake, etc. what is that going to happen to the people who own these properties? How is it going to be affected? How is that going to affect real estate? Are they going to keep them? What do you do? Because I think that's the biggest challenge ahead of us right now as we go into summer. There's no water, and it's going to be a very serious thing, just like the fire situation is. Fire and water, and we got one much too much of one and not enough of the other.
Well, and if you have a working farm of some kind and you don't have water and you want to sell that working farm, you're going to lose value because there's a ton of resale value in that irrigation water, whether it's coming from a stream or a ditch or a spring on your property. The other problem that I think we're having is people are still a little worried about the COVID, even though we have so many people vaccinated already. People hesitate to put their house on the market. And now, with the state of Oregon, another shutdown happening this week, people that were ready to put their house on the market are a little nervous again, even though a lot of folks have been vaccinated. So I think we just got to get through the next couple of weeks and see if we can loosen up some of the folks that were on their way to somewhere else. And then we have the profiteers, what I call the profiteers. Like I called one of my friends in Grants Pass just to see if any of their neighbors wanted to sell their property. And she bought hers for like 150,000 not that long ago, because that's kind of what the going rate was back then. And now it's worth like 380. And she said, I would sell it right now and I don't care where I go. And I thought, well, but it was hard for us to find you a place you liked, ma'am. So I don't know. We'll have to talk about this, but go talk to your neighbors, go to the mailbox. But there's so much profit in some of these folks' property that it would actually make good life sense for them to have an extra 100,000 in their bank account.
Well, everybody has their own need and their own story, and people with a lot of equity have paid off their properties right now. They're going to get a premium price. So yeah, people, again, everybody does their own thing, Alice, and everybody's different. So, but what opportunities, I always look around, and are there opportunities times like this to invest in properties, to look at them? I've not had a lot of people, the COVID thing that you brought up, I have not experienced much of that. I think people aren't listening too much anymore to our leaders, which is unfortunate in terms of how they communicate with each other, what's going to happen, because we're in an extreme thing again. And
our poor businesses,
well,
they're just getting back on their feet. So that's going to ripple down through our community financially.
How can the rest of the country do it differently than we are and be open and be able to do this? And
New York opened.
No, it's punishing restaurants and theaters. Gyms. It's so unfair. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But again, we just march on. In our world, we continue to march on whatever we're thrown at. There's a great line. You play the hand that's dealt you.
Yeah.
And exactly what we do in real estate. We're playing the hand that we're dealt in a market that is changing all the time, and that so many people are active in. It's really, again, with low interest rates still, they've risen. We'll talk with Guy Giles in a couple of weeks about that, about where they're going. The Oregon legislature is in full session. I know we're going to have Representative Cam Marsh join us here soon to talk about, the things that are going there and the housing issues that are affecting us from, Portland on down. We've talked about this stuff on our show for a long time. So, it's dynamic, it's ever changing. And that's why we do this every week, is try to figure it all out for people to see, where we're going and how to maneuver through what is a really, really interesting real estate market.
Yeah. And also prepare people, as you frequently say, Pete, help you get educated so you can be a smart consumer, so you can be an educated consumer, and whatever decision you make for you and your family is the right one. And you do that based on having good information. And that's why having a weekly show is actually not even enough. We should probably do it twice a week, Pete. In this market, it's all moving so fast. Well, folks, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's no, we'll do fine. Once a week.
Well, that's about it for this week. Alice Lema, Pete Belcastro with John L. Scott saying thank you so much for listening. This broadcast will be repeated tomorrow at 6 p.m. And thanks again to our sponsors, John L. Scott of Southern Oregon, Ashland Medford, Guy Giles, Mutual of Omaha Mortgage, and our local Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. We appreciate you so much. Go have a beautiful Southern Oregon weekend. Bye now.